Hey, how's it going? I wanted to make this video for a little bit, but I had to get my thoughts together. So I thought I'd make it now. I didn't write anything down. Let's hope I remember all my thoughts. If not, I'll put the thoughts in the description. Any thoughts I forgot here. But how I would remake Resident Evil 5 and 6. I know Code Veronica should be remade next, definitely. Honestly, I would say after 4 remake, Code Veronica remake, 0 remake, and then maybe 5, and then in between 5 and 6 remake, Resident Evil 1 remake, and then Resident Evil 6 remake, and then Resident Evil 9 at some point, maybe after that or in between there. Anyway, how about I remake Resident Evil 5? First, single player. No co-op. Single player. Co-op was good for its time. Resident Evil 5, the original, is a lot of fun with co-op, playing with another person. But I would say for the remake, go back to single player, just Chris, and go with the original idea. From what I understand, have Sheva be an NPC that shows up throughout the adventure, who ends up getting kidnapped by Excella, I believe, and in one part of the game you have to go rescue her. But I would say keep it strictly single player, just Chris. Like the very first trailer for Resident Evil 5 to come out, where it's Chris, with his gun, searching around. And then at the end, you see like the zombies walking towards him and running after him, like 28 days later zombies. I would like to see that in the game, except, not the zombies like the Magini. I would say, yeah, that part, I would like to see that part. I want to play that part. You're walking through all alone in the village, like in a town, and then, behind you, you see the Magini coming at you, and you turn, and the camera goes behind him, and then you play that part. I would just have it be single player, and if you want to play Resident Evil 5 co-op, the original will always be there. But for Resident Evil 5, I would say go back to single player, just Chris. Sheva shows up from time to time to help you out, gets kidnapped by Excella, you go rescue her, yada yada yada. I would say maybe even don't kill Wesker, or kill him differently instead of 2 rockets to the face. And I would say also have a scene in there, not in the final battle with Wesker, but I would say have a scene in there where you have to move a boulder, and Chris tries to push it, and he can't, even though he's all jacked. He can't push it. And then he's like, what am I going to do, punch this thing or something? Reference that, because it's ridiculous, it's a lot of fun, it's a meme, it's fantastic. And, make it, like a little bit more horror-ish, kind of like Resident Evil 4 Remake. The action is still there, but it's still darker, a little bit more scary-ish. I would say do that with 5. Horror in the daytime is fantastic. I think that's a really good idea. And, just go back to single player. Just Chris, killing bad guys, Sheva shows up, kidnap, rescue, yada yada yada. That's pretty much for Resident Evil 5. That's what I would do if I had to remake it. Go back to single player. Single player only. For Resident Evil 6 Remake, I would not separate the campaigns. I would keep them all one long campaign. You play Leon here, and then at a certain point you switch to Chris, and then at a certain point you switch to Jake. Maybe, something like that. I haven't really put that much thought into Resident Evil 6 Remake as much as I did Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 6 Remake, just keep it one big story. Make it more scary. Tone it down with the explosions and the action. The action could still be there, like with Resident Evil 4 Remake and the eventual Resident Evil 5 Remake. But keep the action there, but just tone it down a little bit. Not a whole lot of explosions, Keep the military thing down. Like, Chris could still be the military. Piers could still be there. Single player. But I'm trying to think how exactly would that work if you, because you have Helena with Leon, Piers with Chris, Sherry with Jake. I wouldn't... See, I don't know. I haven't really thought about 6 Remake that much as I did 5. But yeah, I just think keep it single player. Resident Evil 6, I kind of think of a way to keep it single player. Because I don't know, because Helena, Pierce, and Sherry kind of have to be there. Yeah, I don't know. I thought more about Resident Evil 5 Remake than 6. Resident Evil 5 Remake, keep Chris jacked, because from what I understand, Chris was steroidally jacked. He trend hard, so he could stand toe-to-toe with Wesker after getting his ass whooped by Wesker in Code Veronica. Another thing, real quick. Code Veronica, at the end of that, Wesker's face gets all burnt up. Resident Evil 5, his face isn't burnt up anymore. Does he have dope healing? Does he have dope healing powers? I don't know. If he does, then that explains it. But, yeah, Resident Evil 6... I I don't know. I don't know how that would stay single player because the partners kind of have to be there for that. Sheva didn't really need to be there. Uh, I believe the original idea for her was her being an NPC that shows up from time to time and then gets kidnapped. And you have to go rescue her at some point. But Resident Evil 6 remake, I don't know. Keep the zombies. Keep the I forget what the other enemies in 6 remake in 6 are called. Urusank, I believe his name is. Make him a legit pursuer. Go back to the Mr. X where he's just roaming the play area looking for you. Not Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 remake where he's scripted. That was a damn shame. But yeah, that's how I would remake Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6. Keep it single player. If you want co-op, the original will always be there. The original is a great game. It's not one of my favorite Resident Evil games, but it's a great, entertaining game. I just wish they kept the single player. And another thing about that, Resident Evil 5. I remember one of the trailers for Resident Evil 5, it was just like giant crowds of enemies coming after Chris, like huge crowds of enemies. And in order to play that now, I would play Mercenaries with just Chris in the town. Because Mercenaries, there's an assload of enemies that come after you. So with the 5 remake, have giant crowds of these enemies coming after Chris, and it's just Chris, and you know, it's wild. I would say that would be fantastic. But yeah, that's how I would remake Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6. Because, you know, we all know they're coming. Resident Evil 5 is 14 years old. Turning 14. No. Yeah, turning 14 this year. Resident Evil 6 is turning 11 this year. 11 this October. But yeah, anyway, let me know in the comments how you would remake them. What you think of my ideas. Do they suck a bag of dicks? Do they eat a bag of hoo-ha? You know, just let me know in the comments what you think. What you would do. I'd love to talk about it. And I am excited so much for Resident Evil 4 Remake. As you know from one of my other videos, Resident Evil 4 is one of my most beaten games of all time. It's one of my most favorite games of all time. It's fantastic. Anyway, thank you all for watching. God bless. Sweet dreams at night. Good morning in the morning. All that good stuff. Be sure to like if you liked the video. Dislike if you didn't. Whatever you want. Subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Be sure to catch me on my stream when I stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Trovo, whichever one you want. And yeah, I'll see you all later. Bye. Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6 Remake. We all know it's coming.